One of the studies that you were lead author on was about predicting listening comprehension skills using pre-kindergarten level tasks. What are some of the things that speech pathologists should be looking for? And what are things that they can do to implement and support listening comprehension skills for these kiddos?
Yes, that was actually one of my first papers, but one of my favorite papers, where we actually looked at a large cohort of children in pre-kindergarten. And I was pretty adamant that I wanted to try to get as young as possible, even though we had data from kinder, first, second, to try to identify them as early as possible. With that cohort, we did a variety of models actually to see which tasks, a few tasks, a couple tasks, many tasks, trying to see which would be the best fit for being able to predict that comprehension later in second grade. And what we found there was that actually the simplest and easiest fit in terms of a model, which I am all for simple, having been a school-based therapist, I feel like we want to get to the meat of it, was that if you just gave a single measure of sentence repetition, that could be just as predictive of later listening comprehension abilities in second grade than if you had an entire battery of some assessments related to language. And specifically, because we are interested in trying to close that research to practice gap, we were trying to look for feasible tasks that an SLP would likely have in her closet, in her test closet, for example. And so in that case, we just took the SELF-5 recalling sentences subtest, and that alone was able to predict. We also looked at like the test of narrative language and some other assessments, that other subtests from the SELF, and certainly there was a combination that could be used, but that was great because it was so straightforward. I will add a caveat that it doesn't go to preschool, the SELF-5. So we did have a couple extra sentences that we had to add to make it just a little bit easier at the beginning so they could have some practice before they got to the more challenging ones. Are easily available to anyone.